All right, so now what we're going to do is just fix this so that we have this set up a little bit differently. Okay, so let me show you how we're going to do that. Go to the code, and we don't have to deal with any of, come on. There we go. Okay, we don't have to deal with, all we have to deal with really are these columns here. Okay, so the top two don't really matter because they're both 12. So when it's already a full column width, there is no real adjustment you need to make because the most it could ever become is fully 12. I mean, I could have it become smaller, but it'd be kind of weird for the nav bar to be like half size. So those are going to stay the same. So we're not changing the top two because they just span the whole thing anyhow. So that does not matter quite as much. I might come back up to the carousel though. We'll look at that in a second. Now the ones below though, these I would like that maybe, so like when it's extra large like it is here, I think it makes sense for it to be a full span. When I look at it here, I think it still looks okay. But when I get to medium, it's definitely way too tight, right? So I'm going to say at medium, I would like there to only be 2 of them. So just 1 and then 2, okay? So to do that, what we're going to do, pull this back. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. There we go. What we're going to do is this. So this is the card, right? Yeah. So right now you can see it says column, and then it has SM. Okay? So SM means small. So basically it's saying columns, when it's small, make them 3. Which basically from small all the way to large now, that's what it's going to be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add one after this, and I'm going to say, actually, we're going to change that. Instead of it being SM, let me see, where did I, we're going to have it be that when it's, we're going to do LG, should be good, I think it's LG, so now it'll be column large, it'll be 3, so when it gets to large, then it'll be 3, then what I'm going to do is do column dash SM dash, and this I want it to be 6. Come on, you can do it. There we go. It's really okay. So we're going to change this to LG. We can change all these to LG. So we're going to say when it's large or more. So large and extra large now will be, there'll be 3 columns wide. Okay. And then we're going to say when it's small and above, so SM dash, I want it to be 6, which is going to be half the size. And I'm just going to copy and paste this. So I'm just going to Control C, click in here, space, Control V. Come on. I really need to get a video card because my computer's just struggling. Come on. There it goes. Okay, so again, basically from large and above, it will be 3. When it gets below large, when it's medium down to small, it'll be 6. And then when it becomes less than small, they always stack. Okay. So now if I go to live, what you're going to see is when it's large, it's going to be, each one of these is 3 columns wide, which means it's going to equal, it's going to take 4 of them to equal 12. And it'll look like this all the way to even here. So even at large, this is extra large. Okay, so you can see the little denoting here. When I get below that, though, it's going to switch to 6. So it'll take up half, and then the other ones will be half and half. Okay, because from small and up until it gets to large, then it gets to from small to medium. But when it gets below small, it'll then stack. Because whatever the last one is, like, so if I only did large and I only did 3, when it goes beyond that large, if I didn't have the small mentioned, if I didn't have the class that said, two splits you can see, if I didn't have the class that said small 6, if I only had this one, once I got past large, they would start stacking. So whatever the last one is that you called, it will stack after that. But since I have small stated, that will work, okay? So now you can see that is much better as 6. Right, I can read that, and then boom, then it goes down. Okay. Now, let let me see, how do these guys look? So I'm thinking for these, I might do something different where maybe I'll switch them to 12s when we get to this section, just so that they're not so squeezed. So to do that, I'm going to scroll down here where I have these 6s. So see right now it says column small 6. So I mean from small all the way to larger than small, it's going to be 6. So until it gets too small, that's when it's going to stack. What I'm going to do is I don't need to make 2. I can actually just, like I was mentioning earlier, I will say large 6. Large, so LG6. So what that means is that from large to larger to extra large and beyond, it'll be 6 columns wide, which means it'll take half the width. Okay, so that'll make them 2. It'll make 2 columns or 2 sections. Okay, but when it gets under large, so basically where it hits medium, it's actually going to stack. I don't have to put medium stack, because watch. So we're still good, and then watch what happens right here. Then they're going to stack, because I only need to mention the 1. So that you always get the 12 column, because it's whatever the last one is, okay? Now you can go through, and so up here you can see I added 2 classes. You just make sure you put a space between the classes. I could have a column setting for every size all the way through. So I could do extra large, large, medium, small, extra small. I could do all the way through, but you don't really need to do that. I would say generally 2 is probably enough. And you can see here, like that's fine. And then the bottom one is also a 12, so there's no need to set up any columns for that because it's already the max anyway. Now I'm going to show you one other thing here too, and that's this here. So I'm going to click on my live view. So if you look, I'm okay with the nav bar going all the way across. I think that looks fine. That makes sense to me. But the carousel just looks really stretched out, right? And if you look at my original design, I did have a gap here of 2, right? So there's 2 columns here, 2 columns here. So that equals 4, which means that this one goes for 8 columns. It's supposed to be 8 columns wide. But currently, the way we have it set up, because I made it liquid, is it's just going all the way across, and it looks a bit strange. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you like another thing you can do as well, and this is to offset, okay? So right now, it's column small 12, right? So it means it's going the full span. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add another class that's built into Bootstrap. Now, what I want you to notice too, I didn't mention this earlier, but when I start typing in, when you're inside of like a class, and I start typing in, it's going to show all of the available, as I start typing the words, all of the available classes here, right? Which is cool, like that's great. It's going to show all these classes. These are the classes that are available, which these ones here are actually inside this Bootstrap here, okay? Now, if I have other ones that I've written myself, they will also show up here. So if yours don't show up here, that means that the Bootstrap's not attached well. So anyways, I want to offset, and this is what I wanted to do before, actually, let me undo that for a second. This is what I want to do. I want to basically, just so we know what we're heading for, I want that when it's large, so basically from here to here, I want there to be the gap of 2, right, from the sides like my picture showed. But when I get past that, when I get to here, that gap of 2, I kind of think it should be spanning the full amount. Like I think then it's fine for it to go to the edges, to bleed to the edges. So basically, I want to set up for large, and then when I get past this, it can go back to just being the full span. That's what we're going to shoot for, okay? So, in here, what I'm going to do is I am going to say, basically, instead of small, it'll be large. Oops, not LF. LG. So when it's large, B12. Or actually, well, we'll come back to that. We'll do offset. Now, you can just do offset 1, and what that means is that it's always going to be offset that amount. So notice that, like, when we did these columns, see how it says column LG12? You can just do column dash, like, I could do column dash 8, and that means all sizes, it's always 8 until it gets to too small, and then it'll stack. Most of the time, you want to just go ahead and put the sizes in there too. I don't want it to always be offset that amount. I only want it to be offset. I only want to have it move over those 2 columns when it's large. when it becomes to medium, I don't want an offset anymore. So I'm only going to set offset for the large. So I'm going to do dash LG, and then I want LG2. Okay. Now, there's a problem with this. I don't know if you can see it or not. Probably it'll show up live. Let's see. Let's pull this out. Do you see the problem? So if it's offsetting it 2, that's great. That means it's pushing it over 2. So we have to add that to our total amount here. So if we're taking 2 away, this needs to become not 10 because that will make it align to the right side. It needs to become 8 because I want to have 2 on this side and 2 left over on this side. So this is actually going to be 8. So we want to do column large 8 because then the offset, when it offsets it, it's offsetting it from the left 2. That's all offset does. It offsets it from the left side. It doesn't say anything about this side. So I'm going to offset it 2, then I'm going to go 8, and then I'm going to leave 2 over here. Now because this knows it's a row, it'll automatically know to start on the next one, to start on a new line, rather than trying to fit another section over there. Okay? So now if we go to here, you can see it's offset. That looks fine. Now 2 obviously on this one's a bit different because you're like, that's not 2 on here. It's 2 in the fluid, right? So maybe even more. I don't know. But we're going to go with that. And then it's going the gap. It's doing the gap. Like here, I think it looks good. I feel like extra large, maybe we should do a different one. It looks fine, but then watch what happens when I hit medium. Then it's going to go all the way to the edges, which is what I wanted. Okay? And then the rest of it will look exactly the same. Okay? So you can do offset as well, but like I offset 2 here, but then I left 2 here. This one's 8. So it's 2 plus 8, which is 10, and then there's 2 left over, which is 12. So that's what we were trying to shoot for. And so now you can see that I've got a nicely, it changes the way it looks depending on the scale. And it's controlled because, you know, when it's this size, which is probably going to be like my phone size, if I'm in portrait mode, looks good, you know. But if I'm really, really tight, it will stack. If it comes below small, then they'll just stack, and then you can just scroll down, okay? Hopefully that made sense. But now we have a general layout, and it's all very clean. Yeah, so there you go. If you run into any problems, let me know. But what we're going to do is from this point on the next lab, we're basically going to adjust the bootstrap components that are there. We're going to fix them all and then add in like content and things like that. All right, so good luck.